What's good, YouTube? Nandyger94 here to bring you another episode of Anime Studio Simulator. Now, in the last episode, you guys, we finally gained our animation studio. Without further ado, let's get into it. Sorry to keep you waiting. Here's the contract. He hands over the contract over to Yukari, who stares at it. She doesn't know much about the legal side of things, but if she doesn't look over the contract carefully, she could miss something that comes back to haunt them in the future. Just let me know when you're ready. As the director leaves, Yukari reads through the contract. I'm gonna move my camera up here so it's not blocking anything. As the director leaves, Yukari reads through the contract after she goes through it once. She decides to call Mayumi. Her friend knows more about legal matters than she does. Yukari gets out her phone and dials Mayumi's number. Hello? I'm at Kibachi Studio now. Mind if I go over the contract with you? Go ahead. She reads the contract out loud with particular attention to the sections she's most unsure about. Mayumi explains to her and points out one or two things they might want to have changed. Changed? You can do that? Of course, you're negotiating. She carefully goes over what Yukari should say to the director. Thanks, Mayumi, you're a lifesaver. Don't mention it. Good luck. Yukari hangs up and approaches the door behind the reception desk. A little uncertain, she knocks. Are you finished? Yes, but there are a few matters I'd like to discuss with you first. The director is amenable to all changes Mayumi suggested, but the process tires Yukari. She can already tell working with Kibachi Studio might be exhausting. At last, she signs the contract and returns it to the director. I'll be back tomorrow with the revised storyboards and all the documents you'll need to start working on Cloak Case. Sounds good. See you tomorrow, then. In case anyone forgot, I went back to Kibachi Studio yesterday to sign the contract. I'll be heading over there later to provide them the storyboards they need to start animating the first episode of Cloaked Case. Yukari, Sumiko, since they'll be sharing the workload with you, do you have any questions about the arrangements? Well, I mostly draw static backgrounds and I'm fine with those. But for complex animated backgrounds, I'll need their help. I'm not too experienced with those kinds of scenes. Okay, got it. What about you, Yuko? Is it possible for me to make sure... check their completed work? I want to make sure the animation is consistent throughout the episodes. I'd also like to communicate with them directly to make sure we're on the right track. Plus, it'll be cool to talk to people in the industry. Maybe I'll pick up some new skills from them. I really like the one series they did animated last season. They provided me with a lot of inspiration. Her enthusiasm surprises Yukari. It's rare to hear Yuko talk so much. Of course, I'll let you check their work. After all, you're a character designer. You're the best eye for picking out any consistencies. How much money do we have? I'm gonna let Sumiko and Yuko rest, while Shunsuke still got time. He can handle a little stress. I'll talk to them about it. Don't get your hopes up too high, though, since I'm not sure whether they'll like the idea. Alright, I didn't think about that. I was too excited. Don't worry about it, I'll ask anyway. While the sisters head back to their desks and return to work, while Yukari gathers up the documents she'll need to take to Kibachi Studio later. Attempting to find and organize everything gives her a headache. What a mess. I need to clean up all our files for Cloak Case soon. It takes so much time just to find the character designs. I better show them to Yuko for a final check. Better safe than sorry. Yukari files them neatly into a folder and then hurries over to Yuko's desk. Yukari bumps into Sumiko and the folder falls from her hands. The papers fall out across the floor. No, it took me so long to arrange them properly. Now I have to organize them again. I was just about to head over to Kibachi Studio. I'm sorry. I'm not blaming you. You were standing still after all. It's my fault for not paying attention where I was going. You're so clumsy sometimes. Come on, I'll help you. Me too. The three of them work together to pick up the scattered pieces of paper and then file them again. This is exhausting. I hate paperwork. No one here likes it. It's a necessary evil. Do you want to take a look at the documents I was going to send to Kabachi Studio? That's what I was going to ask about. Didn't we check it all together a few days ago? It'll be fine. If you say so. She turns to Yuko in case the artist disagrees with her sister, but stops in surprise when she sees Yuko's computer screen. What are these? Yukari points to the thumbnail images displayed at the side of Yuko's screen. They look similar to our characters. What? That's nothing. Yuko's blush diminishes her attempt to sound casual. Now I'm even more curious. Yuko dives for her computer chair, but Yukari beats her to it and grabs the mouse. She opens up the mysterious images. These are sketches of the protagonists? But there are so many. I didn't know he was that difficult to design. Here are the side characters, too. I thought it just took a few iterations to get the proper designs. There's no point in showing my work to you if I'm not satisfied with it, and I always show it to Sumiko for a second opinion. If a design doesn't pass our standards, I put it in this folder in case I need to use it again. Usually they stay here. I was checking them out again to see how much progress I've made. Now stop looking at them. They should never appear in public. Haha, don't worry. I was just curious is all. She doesn't get why it's such a big deal. The early sketches aren't that bad. Nevertheless, she stands up and surrenders the computer to Yuko, who quickly closes the folder. When Yukari enters the studio, she almost collides with the director. Oops, sorry about that. I was just on my way out. Can I help you with something? I fixed the storyboards. They're more detailed now, and the direction of the scenes should be clearer too. She takes the storyboards out from her bag and passes them to the director. Great. Let's see, we'll still need a few things. Character designs, the script. It would probably help to see the scenario, too. I can bring everything by Monday if that works for you. Sure, no problem. Alright, I'll see you then. It's dinner time again. Once again, everyone is in high spirits as they gather together. We celebrated last week, but I think a second celebration is in order. Not only do we have an investor, but now we've made a deal with Kabachi Studio. It's almost overwhelming. I know, Cloak Case has gone from a dream to something that's really happening. Have you guys thought about what you'll do if Cloak Case is successful? Honestly, I've spent too much time worrying about what I'll do if it fails. Me too. Well, it's time you two imagined a positive future instead. Yukari, you'll want to keep directing anime, right? Well, yes, it's my dream. So if Cloak Case is a hit, we start working on the sequel. I get it. Cloak Case franchise, here we come. Would a sequel be possible? Don't ask me, ask the writer. Everyone looks towards Shunsuke, who folds his arms. I'm not saying that again, game. What sort of question is that? Of course a sequel is possible. Do you already have ideas for one? I always have ideas for sequels. That's why I started writing fan fiction, you know? My favorite series ended. I wanted to know what happened next. If no one official was gonna write it, I decided to do it myself. I know what you mean. That's one of the reasons I started drawing. Huh? Since when? Sumiko and her friends were working on a manga, but some of the most interesting moments were off panel. That frustrated me, so I drew those scenes myself. I thought that was your way of saying you wanted to join us. That's why I invited you to help. I did. The missed potential in your manga was driving me crazy. Whatever. So, what are your sequel ideas, Shunsuke? Well, since Cloak Case is only 2 episodes long, I consider it more like a 2-part pilot. The sequel will move on to another case, of course, although I have my suspicions it's tied to the current case. Suspicions? You make it sound like you're discovering the story, not writing it. That's how it often feels. You have big hopes for our future, don't you? I suppose I do. She lifts her glass. Come on, everyone, let's make Shunsuke's sequels possible. Raise funds. We only have $37. On her way home from the studio on Friday, Yukari noticed a local store that needed help. I hate that when you click on that, it doesn't like automatically raise your funds. It's like ridiculous. Come on, guys. I'm gonna have Yuko and Sumiko rest for the day. I want to do the outsourcing of the animation at least, so I'll do that. But I'm not going to spend too much at the moment. Okay, what do you guys look like? Okay, you're good and you're good. You're decent at the moment. Writing. There we go, that's done. Today I'll make a trip to Kibachi Studio to give them the assets they'll need for Cloak Case. Nope. Before I go, I want to know everyone's plans for the next few days. I'm trying to figure out the right method to hire voice actors. We could hire them through a talent agency, freelancers, or agents. It's difficult to strike a balance between price and quality. I've discussed... Okay. It's casting Shin I'm most concerned about. Since he's the antagonist, we'll need a Bradley capable of sounding sinister without being obvious from the start. Why not have him sound completely sweet and innocent? Because if he sounds that way when the truth comes out, either the audience won't believe his confession, or he'll come across as more psychopathic than Shunsuke intended. Yikes, I didn't know casting voice actors was so intense. Haha, don't worry about it, I'll figure it out. Good luck. Alright, what's everyone else working on? I'll handle the key backgrounds for Cloak Case along with the animation team at Kibachi Studio. The detective agency and the crime scene are the most important ones because of the amount of detail they'll need. Noir can be a tricky style to get right, especially since Cloak Case's tone isn't completely serious. Sounds good to me, Yuko. Since we're done with the key character designs, I'd like to work on the key animations. Once the animation and backgrounds for each episode are complete, I'll move on to the filming and editing. Remember to talk to the animation director before you start drawing any key animations. We're still new to this, and while they've shipped anime titles, it's best not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Definitely, for sure. The Noir art style, especially in the flashback scene, makes me worried about how to handle the animations. It's the first time I've worked with this style. You'll be fine. Thank you. I'm taking notes on my ideas for now. I'll wait to hear from the animation director before I go further. While I'm at the studio, I'll be sure to ask you about you working with them. Thank you. As for me, I'm still working on the storyboard for the second episode. You've done a lot of good work on it, Yukari, but we're not finished yet. We have all the scenes and cuts identified, but now I'm adding as much direction as possible to explain the scenes in as much detail as possible. I thought that was pretty clear already. Well, from a bigger perspective, yes. Nevertheless, it's fairly complex. Due to flashbacks, we have a lot of cuts. More cuts than anime episodes usually have. It could get chaotic. I'm adding a little more organization and clarification so we don't confuse the animation studio or our viewers. Well, alright. But if you make any big changes, be sure to ask me, okay? Always. I'll also work on our marketing as well as managing the studio when you're too busy. Sounds great. She looks around at her team members. I guess that's that. I'll head over to Kibachi Studio now. I should be back in an hour or so. Good luck! Yukari gathers all her assets they need to start animating episode 1 of Cloak Case and leaves the studio. Luckily, Kibachi Studio isn't far away. Her commute back and forth won't take too much time. Hello, is anyone here? Why does the studio always seem deserted whenever she arrives? Ah, hello, Yukari. Is there something I can do for you? Hello, sir. Here are the assets for episode 1 of Cloak Case. Great, we'll get started right away. If you have any questions, please let me know. Of course, of course. There are a couple of things I'd like to clarify as well. Would it be okay if 2 of my team members, Sumiko and Yuko, handled some parts of the key animation and backgrounds once they get the hang of things? Well, we prefer to handle our things ourselves. Yukari thinks about the dismissal reception of Kogo Studios' recent projects and bites her lip before she can sarcastically comment on how well handling it themselves has gone lately. Sumiko and Yuko are artists, so they should have a good idea of how things should flow in each episode. You and your team will guide them with your expertise, of course. Well, alright, I'll need a way to get in touch with them. I'll give you their email addresses. She takes her phone out of her pocket and sends Sumiko and Yuko's email addresses to the director. Yuko was also hoping to be in direct communication with the animation team so she can learn more. That sounds like the best way to handle things if we'll be working together. I'll get in touch with both of them later. Great, thank you. As she leaves the animation studio, she reminds herself again to keep an eye on Kogo's studio to make sure everything goes smoothly. For now, though, she still has a lot of work to do at her own studio. Yuko and Sumiko, I've got good news for you. I've discussed the possibility of you two handling key animations and backgrounds with the director of Kibachi Studio, and he thinks it's fine. The animation team will probably teach you the skills you'll need first. He'll be in touch with you through email to set up things. Wow, fantastic! I've never expected to be given that privilege right away. Sounds like a great learning experience, right, Yuko? Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Yukari. Oh, don't mention it. What would you like to focus on for the rest of the day? Plot. Most of the story is solid, but Yukari goes over the clues again and finds to find a balance between subtlety and obviousness. They don't want the audience to figure out the murderer's identity too soon, but it shouldn't come out of nowhere. Ideally, the final revelation will make all the pieces fall into place. By the end of the day, she's satisfied with her progress. Yukari decides to wait a few days before making another trip to Kibachi Studio to check on their progress. Speaking of checking on progress... Okay, Shunsuke needs to rest a little bit. And the rest can actually work when I have to choose. Yukari decides to wait for a few days before making another trip to Kibachi Studio to check on their progress. For now, she decides... I already said that. Mayumi, how's the voice actor problem coming along? Well, I can't decide how we should hire them. Since you're the director, I think you should make the final decision. Are you sure? Yes, I researched the pros and cons of various methods and took notes. Take a look and tell me which option you think we should go with. Let's see. Agencies, freelancers, and agents. Expensive, but it guarantees quality. Similar to hiring. Less expensive, agents will seek out freelance voice actors. Freelancers, the cheapest option, where we skip the middleman and look for freelancers ourselves. This will take more time to find the right actors, since we'll have no... Well, which sounds best? I'm gonna go for normal agent, and I'm gonna hope we have money for any other, possibilities. Working through agents is the ideal middle ground. Since we won't have to deal with, we won't have to search for the voice actors ourselves, but we won't have to deal with the talent agency's high prices either. Alright, one more thing, I'll leave choosing the actual voice actors up to you. You're the best one qualified to judge which voices are suitable for Cloak Case. Please tell me when they do the auditions for voice actors that they actually have that one voiced. That would be amazing, because I do plan on reviewing every game I play on the channel under a segment called Rue Reviews. So, there's that to look forward to when I finish the current games I've been playing. That's fine, I'll put my knowledge to the test. I'll get in touch with the agent soon. I wonder what all that commotion is about. She squeezes through the crowd and reaches the arcade. They're holding a Dance Revolution competition. Wow, those people are warming up really good. Wait a minute, isn't that the ultra rare Miku figurine? And it's only 4th prize? Looks like registration is still open. She hasn't played in a long time, and she knows she doesn't stand a chance against the major competitors. 4th place, though, might be feasible. I'm gonna cheer on. It's been too long since he played. Yukari stays with the crowd and cheers. comments are all fantastic. When the competition ends, she claps for the winners. Thanks for cheering me on. It really boosted my confidence. To be honest, I don't really want this figurine I want. I'd like you to have it. No way, really? Thank you so much. I wasn't even cheering for him in particular. The current pace is alright, Yukari. We just completed the storyboards for episode 1 a few days ago. When do we need the storyboards for episode 2 over to Kabachi Studio? By the end of next week. So our pacing isn't that great. We're barely on schedule for current. If we don't send them by the end of next week, it'll slow down. If we don't send them by the end of next week, it'll slow down the animation team's progress. So we decided. So we need to make sure this is done right. Thanks for clarifying. I thought our pacing was good, but it seems I was wrong. Okay, guys. That does it for this episode of Anime Studio Simulator. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. As always, have a wonderful day.